second episode of the Emperor's Canaries podcast. As you can tell, I'm getting sick, which is awesome. I seem to always want to make a podcast when I'm getting sick. So, you guys are lucky and you like my podcast. Pray for the flu. This is episode 2. Still an unnamed podcast, so it's the Emperor's Canaries podcast still. And you know what? It might be forever, it might be for never, who knows. But this is episode 2. I think last episode was in like July or August or something, so it's been a while. Feel free to peruse all of my previous one episode and leave some comments below. Tell me if you hated it, or I guess if you hated it, you might not have even listened this far and you probably already shut it off. If you're paying along, let me know what you guys are paying, what you're working on. But pretty much, here's the rundown for this episode. Same format as last time. If you got any suggestions to the format, always let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to assume it's working. So, we're going to have some news, some 40k news up first, followed by a section about what I think is awesome, what armies I am currently running, what games I have been playing, and obviously, knowledge acquired from said games, projects I am working on, what's up with that, and some stupid ideas for some dumb, stupid lists. And that's pretty much how it's going to go. This is hopefully going to be 30 minutes to 45 minutes. I'm going to keep trying to trim it down a little bit every time I make another episode until it's steadily right about 30. This one's going to be a little bit longer because I'm not quite there yet. So bear with me. If I can get it shorter, probably get more out. It'll take me less time to edit, take me less time to prepare, and I'll be a whole lot more likely to do them more often. So I'm going to kind of hopefully try to trim it down by spending 10 minutes introducing it. Alright, so moving right along to the news. That's right, we've got news. In case I don't know if you guys have heard this yet, we survived the apocalypse. Just putting it out there. The apocalypse has been survived. No zombies, no meteors, no alien invasions. Just saying I was rooting for zombies. Didn't happen, so since all of that crap is over with, we made it long enough to get in some serious Dark Angels rumors. I was able to watch The Hobbit before everything died, so that's always good, although there's still 2 more parts, so if the apocalypse happens in between, like part 2 and 3, I'm going to be really annoyed. So, since my last podcast, which was months ago, obviously the Chaos Space Marines are out now. Pretty much every rumor was dead on, like it always is. There wasn't too much that was different than the rumors. It's just kind of nice to see it all for real. I like the setup of new codex. It's it's basically fantasy in space. It's if you're familiar with the fantasy books, the new hardback books will make sense to you. Chaos seem to be doing just fine. They're not really, in my opinion, they're not like over the top tier like Grey Knights were when they dropped, or like Necrons were for a little while in 5th, or like Demons are now. So I think Chaos is a really competitive army that's not cheesy. It's not crap. You don't feel like you're playing a losing game if you fight them. So Chaos are out. Demons got an update in White Dwarf. You guys don't. There's not a lot of demon players out there, honestly. So if you haven't been to a lot of big tournaments, you probably haven't seen them yet. But they've added some chariots and stuff that no one cares about. But most importantly, they updated the flamers and the screamers, and they made them absurd. So demons are rolling a lot of tournaments right now. I think this was before the demons dropped, or right around when it did. It was Nova Open, which Tony Kopak won again with Space Wolves, but this time in 6th edition allied with Imperial Guard, which he played brilliantly. He did a great job. He got a few lucky matchups, but he played very smart, and I'm just happy to see a guy who's not a jerk winning, and a guy who's constantly always playing the same army, not the same list, but he sticks with the army he likes, and he keeps playing, and he keeps winning with Space Wolves, Adepticon, and Nova, I think 2 years in a row, except for Adepticon this past year, he lost against Grey Knights on top table. But it's nice to see someone being able to win without army hopping, bandwagoning every time something comes out. So great job, Tony. Keep it up. Next big one after that was Feast of Blades, and that one was rolled by demons. After that after the White Dwarf came out, so demons are very powerful now with the new Screamers and Flamers, and those models are selling off the shelf, obviously. So I think it was something like 6 or 7 out of the 8 games for top table was demons were on top table, which is pretty ridiculous, and demons fought each other in the final round, which was pretty crazy too. So that's out. Beware of the demons. If you don't know too much about them, I would definitely look up what the new rules are. Maybe check out some people's tactics for dealing with them. Wherever you get your information from, whether it be like Daka Daka or Balls or whatever. But you're definitely going to need to have a preordained strategy to deal with that crap. And the big news really right now is that the Hobbit miniatures are out. I'm just fucking with you, no one cares about that. Dark Angels are coming out quite soon, actually. I think it's like a week or two from now, and it is currently the 1st of January 2013. So that's your 40k news. Moving right along to what I think is awesome. Dark Angels rumors, obviously. I don't really care too much about the Dark Angels. I'm not going to pick up Dark Angels and start playing them anytime soon. I've always liked them. I've played them in some small games, like I've run Belial's group with Lysander just for shits and giggles. And I've, played a bike army from them for a little bit while I was thinking of whether or not to play Dark Angel bikes or Space Marine bikes. And so I am excited about them, but I'm not going to pick up them. I'm not gonna start an army. But the rumors have some pretty cool stuff in them. I don't want to go into too much detail because, well, there's an entire codex worth of rumors out there, so it would take me quite a while. In particular, I really like the model for the flyer. The new flyer looks awesome. From what I hear, you can now take your Terminators in squads of 10 finally. Thank goodness. It was so annoying to only take 5. It was just ineffective. There's 2 new speeders. One of them is not awesome. Everyone's calling it like the flying DJ guy or something stupid like that. It looks dumb. It's like a long land speeder with like robot space marines, and it looks stupid. The other one has this really sweet like double plasma cannon turret on the back or something. It looks awesome. I desperately want that land speeder. A lot of the models to me, I mean, there's nothing too wildly different about the new Dark Angels models from what you would expect, but I do like them. They look good. I think they did what they were supposed to do. What else do I think is awesome? I think 2012 was an amazing year for up-and-coming games, for miniature wargaming as a whole, and I think 2013 is going to be just as good or better since all of these new up-and-coming companies have kind of got their name out there, they got their foot in the door, and I think 2013 is going to be amazing for miniature wargaming. There's some like games like Dropzone Commander got huge in 2012. Dropzone Commander got so much attention, it exploded. I've heard about it from a lot of people. Everyone I've talked to that's played it or even watched a game has really liked it. It's these kind of up and coming small games that have to prove themselves and forge their way through the mounds of shit and barricades that GW had set up to get into the miniature wargaming market is really forcing them to be innovative and to be creative and to make something different, a different product. And they've got some seriously different and cool mechanics in Dropzone Commander that involves more of picking up and dropping off and positioning your units as a major function more than just shooting and attacking your enemy. And I think that there's a huge market out there for something like that. There's a huge market out there for something that is developing a new a new mechanic or a new idea with miniature wargaming, especially with the way prices have gone with Games Workshop. So, Dropzone Commander looks amazing. I'll let you know when I finally get a demo game in. Um, there's everything from Mantic, Warpath, and Kings of War, and I think they've got one or two others. They put out tons of models. I have no idea what their game's like. I'm assuming, since I haven't heard just tons about it, that their game mechanics maybe aren't that good. But if you want cheap models that look decent, actually quite decent, like I definitely wouldn't say they're GW quality, but dollar for dollar, I think they're quite nice. And they make a great replacement for Games Workshop stuff, or if you just want to make some cool diorama, or if you just like the models that you want something to paint. They've got some really cool stuff. I would check them out. Firestorm Armada from Spartan Games did all right in 2012. I feel I haven't seen it exploding everywhere like it was towards the end of 2011. Dystopian Wars seems to be alive and well still from Spartan Games. But Firestorm Armada and I believe Dystopian Wars, which are Firestorm Armada is a space fleet battle game, kind of like Battlefleet Gothic, and I believe Firestorm Armada is coming out with a tabletop miniature game similar to 40K, where it's individual soldiers of the armies in the universe of Firestorm Armada. So they're kind of expanding into that market, which means they must be doing something right. For mini wargaming, there's Dark Potential, which did huge things in 2012. You still can't buy it yet, which is unfortunate. But I mean, it's a huge, long process to get a game going, especially when your company's sole purpose is not to make games. They're just doing it on the side, and they made a large amount of progress for that being the case. They had a huge fundraising campaign. They raised tons of money. They've got some models made already, and they've been hitting it hard with the rules. And I really I'll do a whole episode about what I like about their business model, ignoring the fact that I think some of their stuff's a little goofy and even childish at times, but that they know their market. But their business model with the way that they're designing their game, I could probably do a whole episode about. But I think Dark Potential has the potential to go quite far. Another one, and some people might agree with me, some people might disagree with me here, but the game X-Wing, Fantasy Flight, I believe, made it. Fantasy Flight does not make bad games. Period. They're really I have a lot of games from Fantasy Flight. I've never played one that was crap. But there's a Star Wars game now called X-Wing, and it's X-Wings and TIE fighters and that kind of stuff fighting each other. It's a space fleet battle miniature war game with pre-painted models, with a set of rules, with preset missions, and all this kind of stuff. It's a miniature war game in a box for basically about $40. Now, granted, you're not getting like a bucket full of models or anything. You're still being charged ridiculous amounts for the models, but it's not a large model game. You can't just go out and buy a pack of X-Wings for $50. This is a box, and that's the game. There's expansions they're making for it, and I think there's one or two that are out already, but it's not a large-scale game. The cool thing about X-Wing for me is that I've heard good things about it. I haven't played it yet. I've heard good things about the gameplay. Even if it's crap, to the average person who hasn't played a miniature war game, it is going to be one, making miniature wargaming. It's going to be making it mainstream. And to the average person who has not played a miniature war game and who's only played crappy board games like Monopoly or Sorry, it is going to be the coolest thing they've ever fucking laid their hands on. And to me, I kind of feel like maybe, LucasArts and Fantasy Flight making this big, X-Wing, oh, now we're doing miniature wargaming, and we're selling it in regular everyday stores like Barnes and Nobles and Targets. And you can just go out to your regular supermarket and buy it. For some people, that might seem like selling out for wargaming or something like that. But to me, I see it kind of like what some people who play way too much games video games called Call of Duty, and everyone who plays Call of Duty are bro gamers. And they just hate bro gamers because they don't care about the campaign crap. They just play online with their friends and drink beer, and they're a bunch of frat boys or whatever. I don't care if you like bro gamers or not. They are bringing so much money and so much popularity and so much, I guess, just not credit, but they're really making video gaming mainstream, accepted, and the money's pouring in because of it. If Because of people massively playing Call of Duty and those kinds of games that don't normally touch a regular video game, that would never play StarCraft or whatever else, that you think that they're not nerdy enough to play. They're dumping so much money into buying Xboxes and playing Call of Duty on Xbox Live that when the next system comes out, the graphics are going to be as good as they are because of that kind of money going into it and because it's so mainstream now. And I think that stuff like X-Wing and that from a major company selling a less complicated game in a major store that you can pick up anywhere is going to start mainstreaming that, like Geek and Sundry with Alicia Day and Will Wheaton is doing with stuff like tabletop playing games like Pandemic and like Gloom and Last Night on Earth, and then making sure that stores like Target and Barnes and Noble are selling those same board games in their stores so everyone has access to them. They're making it popular, and I think that overall it's going to be good for the wargaming community. So that's what I think is awesome, and I'm excited to see what 2013 brings for wargaming because it's not all Games Workshop from here on out. I feel like the prices got too high and everybody else got creative. And I think that's exactly what capitalism should be doing. And Games Workshop's not going to lose their market share. There's not, 100 people that play war games, and Games Workshop's going to lose 10 of their 100 to play all these other games. There's just going to be more people playing. And I think that that's going to be overall really good. So, what armies am I running? Obviously, I'm still running my footdar. My footdar are still doing great. The only thing that's kind of changed with them is I've kind of experimented a little bit with running stuff like warp spiders to try to get some more of those strength 6 shots in, but more so because I need the mobility, I need the tactical flexibility that they offer, where I can just deep strike in behind someone, I can jump away after shooting them in my assault phase. If I get assaulted or if I assault them, I can hit and run to get back out. I've got a lot of options, but mostly it allows me to get my guys in the back of their army, force them to turn some of their stuff around, weaken the amount of force coming at my guys, allow me to push forward with my main force a little bit more. Trying to kind of take out how slow the footdar army is. I've also acquired some more warwalkers, which I'm very pleased about. So now that I've got a few more warwalkers, I'm kind of starting to drop a wraith lord here or there, so I'm down to like maybe 1 wraith lord. And instead of 3 warwalkers, I'm running 6. So I'm running like a squad of 3 with scatter lasers, and then a squad of 3 with missile launchers. And that's given me a little bit more flexible, tactics too, because I have more that can outflank. I can convert, the missile launchers from anti-tank to blasts or whatever I need to do. I feel like that's really helping. I'm sort of starting to baby step migrate towards my Dakadar Eldar list, as I get more warwalkers. Since I'm up to 8 right now, I've got the 9th one on the way, so I'm about halfway to my 2,500 point list. I'm running a Sternguard list recently, which really liked. Basically, it's 3 squads of 10 Sternguard, and then this could be as many points as you want. Just add or subtract a few units here or there. But this is my maximum optimal list. Everything I want in it. 3 squads of 10 Sternguard, 2 heavy flamers in each squad. You can take permanent heavy flamers, which is awesome, especially with the new 6-inch disembark rule. You can really get in where you need to. So 10 Sternguard with 2 heavy flamers, and then like 1 or 2 combi meltas and 2 or 3 combi plasmas, and then sergeant with a power axe. So 3 of those identical squads and drop pods, and then you've got I run Lysander with one of them, and Pedro Cantor with the other, and I deep strike those 2 in together on turn 1 next to each other, so I can roast the whole squad with the heavy flamers, and then drop a few AP3 re-rolling misses with my with Lysander's squad and that kind of stuff. And you can just level a whole squad of Space Marines. You can level a whole squad of 20 gaunts. You can level. I've leveled just in one turn to fam. Like 8 or 10 immortals just gone, can't come back. They hit hard, and then they stay around because Pedro Cantor and Lysander, depending on either one, they make your whole army stubborn, so you're probably not going anywhere. Charging them is stupid because Lysander's in one squad and Pedro's in the other, and neither one of them are chumps. Pedro makes everyone within 12 inches plus 1 attack, so my Sternguard are getting 3 attacks apiece. Lysander's getting 4 attacks, 5 on the charge. It's disgusting. And Pedro makes the Sternguard all scoring, so you really have to worry about them still. And I've got the third squad just coming in to land on an objective, pick apart an enemy unit in the back, support a flank I'm losing, whatever I gotta do. I've got 2 squads of tactical marines and rhinos behind that in my deployment zone with like missile launcher, meltagun. I've got a squad of 10 scouts with Telion sniper rifles all around except for 1 missile launcher. And basically, they sit in a piece of terrain in my board half. They've got stealth from Talion. Lysander gets the bolster defensive, so they're going to be really hard to move. And then I can just shoot them at whatever I want that I'm kind of worried about. If I'm about to lose a flank to some light infantry, like some Gene Stealers or some Gaunts, I can rip them apart. If there's some unit I'm worried about, I'll shoot at them, take all my 6s to hit, and try to rip out like a Power Fist Sergeant from the squad or something like that. Kind of soften it up so that I know that I can handle whatever charge I'm going to make, and I'm not going to waste Sternguard on them. And then I run a 1 squad of 10 Assault Marines with 2 Flamers. And they've just been, they're really fast, they're really mobile. People don't really have time to shoot at them because they've got those drop pods coming in on turn 1. And they really just help defend my flanks because the Sternguard with 2 squads dropping in right by the enemy, they're really susceptible to just being surrounded, not being able to get cover, not being able to back up, and getting assaulted by a unit that can actually take them. So I've got to make sure I've got that fast squad. I can jump forward, flame, kill a few guys, charge, kill a few more, and just tie them up and do what I got to do. So, but I've been having really good luck with the Sternguard army. As it is, I'm getting 6 scoring units. My whole army scoring aside from the Assault Marines, which in one mission is also scoring. So I've really been liking the Sternguard list. I also tried out for the first time my Elysian army with Imperial Guard. I ran some proxies in that. I've got a bunch of Stormtroopers I capped, but I sold all my other Imperial Guard, and I'm getting ready to start buying some Elysians from Forge World. So tried them out finally. They're nasty. The special weapon squads, you can take 3 of them with each infantry platoon. They are no joke. They are nasty. You can take 3 demo charges in each one. So I was running like 2 demo charges and a flamer in each squad of 6 guys. And then, some decked out veterans with melta bombs and a demolition charge and like 3 plasma guns. Deep strike those, deep strike the special weapon guys, deep strike some drop sentinels with multi-meltas and hunter killer missiles. In one game I surrounded some decked out death company with Astaroth and 2 predators. I dropped in my whole army right around them, threw in like 8 demo charges, and just obliterated every single last one of them. Just gone from a bunch of 85-point like 85-point units. It's amazing. So those are what I've been running recently. Really been enjoying all of those. What games have I been playing? I played some games with my Sternguard. I played Sternguard vs. Nids. I played one with my Sternguard allied with Grey Knights against Necrons allied with Tau. That one was really interesting. We did end up winning, but it was rough. We made some dumb decisions with deployment, and my whole army really took the brunt of both sides' fire and combat and everything the whole game. And by the end of it, I think I was down to like 3 models or something. But we won. So I kind of just dropped in, wiped out a squad of Immortals with Lysander squad in 1 round. You know, Pedro's squad overran a group of like 14 warriors with a decked out Overlord and a decked out Destroyer Lord. It was pretty nasty. And Lysander took like 40 shots to the head before he went down, which was amazing. So I played footdar versus nids recently, just the other day. That was where I was trying out my warp spiders, and I was trying out 6 warwalkers instead of 3. They did really well. I made some very, very stupid mistakes in the middle of the game towards the end, and they cost me the victory, that's for sure, positively. But it was a dead draw straight across. We had the same number of battle points for the main objectives, and he had line breaker and I had first blood, so we drew that completely. But it was a really good game. It was back and forth. As I mentioned, I played that Elysian versus the Blood Angels game, and the big one though is we had giant aporkalypse game. So we had a 10,000 versus 10,000 point apocalypse game on December 21st, the apocalypse. That was fun. It was really cool. We put 3 tables together. We had bridges going from one to the other, and I made up this mission for it and everything. I did a battle report for it if you guys want to check it out. I'll try to remember to put the link below. But yeah, we had a good time. For that game, it was my footdar and Tyranids versus Tau and Grey Knights, just because of how teams worked out with who was there and everything. So I kind of tried out a few different things with that. So I guess I was wondering with a large apocalypse game, especially now in 6th, where everything seems to take even longer. Have you guys been doing anything different for apocalypse? Have you been doing anything weird or trying to change any rules around? How have you guys been getting through a regular apocalypse game with a large point value on each side without it taking all freaking day? Or even 2 days. I think things went really smooth. We started like we were going to start earlier, but you know, you always start late, so we planned for that. We actually started rolling dice probably around 9:30, 10 o'clock, and we finished around 4 p.m. and we got through 5 full turns. So I was really pleased with that. That's more than I was hoping for. What I did was I started each team off on one of the tables. So there were 3 tables, so each team had their own table. And then there was, you know, the bridges that connected them, and you had to be at least like so far from the bridges. And then there was a 3rd table that they were both just as far from, and the 3rd table was where the main objective was. It was worth the most points, but it wasn't the only objective. So everyone had to kind of funnel into that. So everyone was moving into empty space at full speed, and you know, interacting and shooting and charging each other there, kind of creating that big bloodbath. And there's all the fights on the bridge and everything to try to get to each other's objectives, because your own were worth nothing. That way, people would hopefully try to move forward instead of just hanging back. The other thing that I did was, since each player had 5,000 points to work with, I just said 5,000 points, you can do allies, and you get 3 Force Orgs. And for every Force Org that you use, you must take at least 1 fast attack choice. Kind of like a troop requirement. You have to take 1 fast attack for every Force Org. I also made fast attack scoring. So basically I'm saying, 1, this is a fun game. It's not a tournament competitive game. There wasn't even an entry fee. But even if there was, it's a fun game. Any entry fee is for prizes to make it more fun. So we really just wanted to say, hey, use units you don't normally use. Take fast attack choices because we want you to get somewhere on this board. We don't want everyone to still be in their deployment zones on turn 6. And I think it worked really well. I really am pleased with the way that it turned out. We didn't really encounter any problems the whole time. And the other thing we do for fun games like the apocalypse games, because in my opinion, the apocalypse games can't really be balanced. It's so ridiculous. There's so many weird, stupid things you can do. There's so many weird problems with who ends up being on what kind of art races team and all this kind of stuff. So when we play apocalypse games, it's for fun. So whoever wins, yeah, you get bragging rights. Um, but no one's gonna want to play with you if you just show up with, like 14 vortex missiles or something stupid like that. We want to create those moments where you want to be risky and you try something daring and stupid that probably shouldn't work, and you just by chance with one like combi melta blow up a titan or something stupid like that. Like we want you to make stories that you guys will remember and that everyone will be talking about 5 years from now. Like you remember that time where such and such happened. That's what we want. So whoever wins the game, yeah, it's great, you won the game, but everyone had a good time. No one really cares who wins and who loses, although it's nice bragging rights. But the winners of the prizes are determined by vote. So basically, I have everybody write down like one or two, depending on what kind of game it was, things that they loved that happened, or players that were really fun to play with, or did cool things, or just someone who was fun to play with, someone who tried something really daring and maybe it worked and you thought that was amazing, or maybe it just completely failed and you thought that was hilarious, but good for trying. And so whoever ends up with the most votes, typically the top three, who ends up with the most votes, and we read off the things that they've we read off their accomplishments that won them the prize, and whoever gets the most votes and gets one of the prizes. And it's nothing big. Like this time I gave away Twinkies since they're all gone and it was the apocalypse, so winners got Twinkies, and it's just a really fun way to do it. And I think that's worked really well for our apocalypse games. So done with the games, on to the projects. I'm not going to the projects, just projects I'm working on. Alrighty, so projects. Listmaster. If you guys remember way back when, I was working on this program called Listmaster, where I was teaching myself C# programming to make this free open source list creation software, similar to Army Builder, but a lot less ugly and more sensible was the goal, and free. So basically, I got stuck on that after a while, and it got annoying. There's some things that I just feel like you couldn't really do the way I wanted it to, at least not easily in C#. So it just kind of went on the back burner, and I stopped working on it. But this last few months, I've been taking some classes in like JavaScript and jQuery and MySQL and all that. And this coming semester, I'm taking PHP and Java and mobile app development. So I'm learning a lot more stuff that's going to make this a lot easier for me. And so with my jQuery class, for one of my projects, I've been remaking this program, but in jQuery as an online web application sort of thing instead of a download install program. And honestly, it's been 1,000 times easier. It's been 1,000 times more sensical. It does what I want it to, way easier with a lot less effort. And in the end, it's going to turn out a lot better because you can simply go to a website instead of downloading and installing a program. If there's a bug with it, or if I want to update it, or if I want to add something, when you go to the site, it'll just automatically be updated because I changed it on the site. It's a much better system. I think this is going to work a lot better. So I've got a video showing the progress I've made so far, which is really basic at this point. But you can see where I'm at. Alright, I have also been building and painting my Eldar some more. So I've kind of been going back over some of my stuff that I hadn't even primed yet. I finished building and I primed, like my war walkers. Got those primed, and then I've got them base coated in my purple I'm doing with my eldar. I started painting over some of the models that were already painted in my old color scheme, and I've got a few war walkers that are about 75% done. So I'm really excited about that. I've done some mild conversions that I kind of like. Like I've got one war walker leader with like a Dire Avenger Exarch head instead of a Guardian head. He's kind of got like a different control arm and that kind of thing. So the Eldar army is coming together well. I'm bringing them to Origins again this year in June, and I would love to have a painted army. I've never had a fully painted army, and I know I'm not going to be done by Origins. Like I'm not going to have every last little lightning painted on the swords that I want and that kind of stuff. But if I've got my 3 colors on, I've got my shading done, I'm going to be thrilled. I think it's going to look really good. So I've been spending a lot of time on that, and it's not really a project, but I've recently, from a friend who's getting out of 40k, and well, all wargaming really, I've acquired a bunch of Infinity models, and I have never played Infinity. Never really even looked into it because I'm not too thrilled about skirmish games. Um, but now I've got all these Infinity models, and I've heard good things about it. So I'm going to be digging through the rules on that, and I'm going to be playing some games with that. And hey, if I like it, who knows? Maybe I'll pick up Infinity. Um, if you guys play Infinity, or if you have, let me know what you think. Comment down below. What armies do you play? What armies do you think are good? Are there any video tutorials or anything you've seen that are really useful describing the rules? Because I hate reading rules. Just let me know what you guys think if you've seen anything about Infinity before. So on to what's up with that. All right, first on the list, Fearless units. In 6th edition, do you guys think that Fearless is too good? Or maybe you think it's just right. Maybe you think it's not good enough. One argument, I guess, that could be said is that the armies that have a lot of Fearless units, they really require Fearless in the way that it is changed in 6th edition to be effective. And I feel like a strong argument could be made for that. But the big thing with Fearless now is that, like always, your units can't fall back. Like always, your units can't be overrun. But now, you don't take any extra wounds or damage or anything for losing combat and being fearless. So if you're a fearless unit of like 16 gaunts or even 30 gaunts, and you kill like one of my marines, and I kill 29 gaunts, and there's one left, you don't have to take 28 saves anymore. You just take nothing and you stand there. In my opinion, now Fearless is not too good, but it's too obnoxious. I feel like it's taking away from the quality of the gameplay. It's taking away from the game itself. I don't by any stretch of the imagination think that Fearless is broken, and if you're running a Fearless army, then you're a cheesemonger and it's not fair. I simply think that it takes away from an otherwise fairly decent game mechanic. But the Fearless is awesome in that it stops you from running off the board. I think running off the board is horrible, and it sucks, and it's stupid. And even without running a Death Star, you have a potential of one bad die roll on turn 1 while you haven't even had a chance to move yet. Someone shoots you, you lose 3 Marines. You've got a squad of 10 Marines decked out a little bit with a captain decked out a little bit. You're talking 350, 400 points. Someone kills 3 Marines on top of turn 1. You roll one bad roll, and it's just gone. Now, depending on what size game you're playing, that might be a third of your army, might be a fourth of your army, but that's huge for simply making one bad roll before you've had a single action in the game yet is a little bit ridiculous. For that reason, I think Fearless is amazing. I think I think that Fearless solves some of the problems with the game mechanics of leadership. Um, I think Fearless is even great in that you can't be overrun in combat, because that's also, in my opinion, horrible. Like, oh, you lost combat by one, and you failed one bad roll. You made one bad roll because you lost combat by one, and there goes your 600 point Death Star, whatever it is, or even just a squad of Marines is like 200 points. To lose one Marine, the enemy makes good saves with like a squad of Dark Eldar witches, and you get over. Obviously Marines can't be overrun, but you get the point. So I think Fearless solves a lot of those problems that the game had. But I think with Fearless now making you not even take extra damage by losing combat, or even some sort of punishment like that, it's just basically saying, oh, you have Fearless, you're going to tar pit. And I think tar pitting is a dumb mechanic. The concept of basically saying, oh, this is a cheap unit, a lot of wounds, going to take you a while to get through, and it's not going to deal any damage back. Hardly at all. Maybe one guy will die. But it's worth its points because it's just going to simply stop your army because you're not allowed to walk away from it and you're not allowed to overrun it. It is dumb. I feel like it's up there on the list of dumb mechanics, right next to doing less damage to your enemy is beneficial to you than doing more damage. That's probably one of the dumbest mechanics. If I shoot you too much, I'm out of charge range. Or if I shoot you too much, you're dead, I can't charge you, and now I'll get shot to death. All of those kinds of I do less damage is better for me is something that should never be in a war game, period. But that's really the only problem I have with Fearless now is that it's too much of a tar pit. With if I simply fail to kill the last singular Gaunt, whatever unit they're with is now just simply stuck with them, and that's the only option. If there was a regular rule that said, hey, no matter what you're fighting in, you can always try to run away from combat. Or not run away, but just leave combat. You can just try to leave combat, and hey, they can make a free attack on you or whatever. Something like that, I feel like Fearless would make a lot more sense. So what do you guys think? Is it a problem? Is it not a problem? Is it a non-issue even? Because I know it's not a big deal. I just think it's what's up with that. So, new demon updates. Flamers and Screamers got ridiculous. What's up with that? Did they just have like a warehouse of Flamers and Screamers and they're like, shit, we haven't sold these in forever. They must have had a mound of these fuckers nearly as tall as their mound of St. Celestine models was before the White Dwarf update for sisters. And they're just like, damn, what can we do to get these the fuck out of this warehouse? And the only thing they can come up with was, let's release a White Dwarf, make them amazing at half the point cost they should be. We'll sell them all. They'll win a bunch of tournaments. We'll sell more. And then as soon as we're ready to remake the demons in like 6 months, just make them suck again. That's what I'm worried about, is that if I do go buy some, they're just going to suck in 6 months if they remake the codex or whatever. And they just they just pull the fast one on me. Kind of like Necrons. The new Necron codex came out. All the old units you have suck. Buy all the new units. Then you buy all the new units, and then 6th edition comes out. Just kidding. The new units suck. Now the old units are good. Everyone needs warriors now. Like, they pulled a fast one on you twice with Necron. I did find it kind of funny as well that while I was watching the live cast of the top table for what's it called? I think it was Feast of Blades with the two demon players fighting each other for first place. And they were both talking about how they couldn't believe that the Screamers and Flamers were as ridiculous as they are for their point cost. And I don't knock them in the slightest for bringing them. It's a freaking tournament. Bring whatever you want. And they did well. They played well. They were painted well. Props. But I just think it's kind of obvious when the two top players at a major tournament both openly recognize that what the hell's up with this unit. Makes me a little bit cautious and suspicious. So what do you guys think is up with that? Do you think they're just trying to sell them? Do you think they're going to somehow, as they were suggesting in this video, they're going to somehow nerf demons in the future, and they're going to make a lot more sense then with with how good they are? What do you guys think? And finally, with my what's up with that, I'm hoping that this is a thing of the past, because Chaos came out, everything came out for it. There was no unit that I was dying to have that doesn't have a model already. But maybe that's an off army, because any marine army, like, what are you gonna do? Make another new marine? Like, there's not that many new units that can be in any given marine army that's gonna be, to die for. It's not like mycetic spore from Tyranids, or the Turvagon from Tyranids, or the Doom of Malenti, or the Dark Eldar fighter and bomber when those were out for the longest time. Is there going to be something like? Is this going to be a problem in the future? There's still no model for a mycetic spore. There's still no model for the Doom of Malenti. There's still no model for the Dark Eldar bomber. Now that we're in 6th edition, 1, the Doom is awesome. It's ridiculous. 2, the bomber is even better than it was before. It's not as good as fighter, but it's pretty amazing. And when these armies came out, there's 4 things people wanted from Tyranids. When that new book for Tyranids came out, what, 2.5 years ago? Everyone wanted Turvagons. Everyone wanted Trigons. Everyone wanted the Doom of Malenti, and everybody wanted like 15 mycetic spores. They gave you the Trigon, and that's it. Like, that is the only unit that was released, even mildly after that codex came out, that anyone gave a shit about. And it was great. It was smart. That is something that should have been in first wave, and they nailed it with the Trigon. Great job. But they lost thousands of sales on mycetic spores that still don't have a model, and on the Doom of Malenti, and especially on the Turvagons. Turvagons and Wave 1 would have just sold off the shelf repeatedly, like model after model after model. And I feel like they've lost serious amounts of profit. They've lost some of their market share to third-party competitors that they're suing for making models to use with 40k. Because these companies are like, well, if Games Workshop's not going to make a mycetic spore, then I might as well. And they did, and people bought them because they want a mycetic spore. So GW really, I feel, missed the mark on some of that. And making this Turvagon now, like 2 years after the Codex came out, looks amazing. No one gives a shit. It's just no one cares about Tyranids right now. And Tyranids are fine. Tyranids are doing great. My friend beats the shit out of me regularly with Tyranids, and that doesn't happen often. His Tyranids are not suffering in 6th edition, but just no one cares about them right now, and I feel like they really missed the mark on that. Do you guys think, once we get done with these Marine armies, and we start getting back into town, we get into Eldar, and they're making new units that are actually really powerful again, or do you think they're going to make new units that are really powerful, like they were in 5th edition? Do you think that they're going to keep up this like Chaos and hopefully like Dark Angels, where Codex comes out, you've got everything new in that book has a model, in the first month or 2 after it's out? I hope they do. What do you guys think? Leave me a comment. Make me a video response. I don't care. Whatever. Okay. Final section, and I am at, oh gosh, I'm already at 50 minutes. This is going to be an hour-long video. My bads. All right, so try to go through these briefly. Ideas for stupid lists, just dumb, stupid lists. I have no delusions about these being good lists or tournament lists or even fun lists or practical lists. I just think these are stupid lists that I want to play a game with. Alrighty, first up, I was flipping through the Dark Eldar Codex, and I got thinking about the new rules for 6th edition. Scourge now, I think, could be amazing. Give them all haywire blasters or whatever the hell they're called. Take 30 of them. You just destroy any vehicle army on the table faster than a 3 Ravagers with Dark Lances could ever dream of. I mean, one squad would just Land Raider, you're dead, and that's if they don't roll a penetrating hit. I really want to see someone run a really solid list with 30 Scourge. I think it would be really fun to see, and they have a lot of versatility. They can't handle stuff like Terminators that well, but they can handle a lot of vehicles. If you wasted points in vehicles, then you really wasted points in vehicles against that list. And if you brought hordes, you're also just gonna get shot to pieces. I would really like to see someone run something like that. Maybe some Scourge and Incubi together to handle Terminators as well. If you guys have played a list similar to this, or if you've played against a list like this in 6th edition, how did it go? Were you playing as them or against them? Did it work how you thought it would? Did you have any good counters for it? That kind of thing. Okay, now for my footdar, as far as the tournament's concerned, and I am not sure if this is worth my time or my points or anything. This is certainly not for a friendly game. I've been considering running either the Baron or Asdrubial Vect with my big Wraithguard blob of 10 Wraithguard, Spirit Seer with Conceal, Eldred Althran, and Magan Ra, which is an 800 point unit already. But I've been thinking of joining one of those Dark Eldar characters to it. And basically, they give me night vision, which on turn 1, if it's night fighting, is really useful. It's not going to help me at all with the Wraithguard because they only shoot 12 inches anyway. But Magan Ra shoots 36, and he shoots well. I've exploded Storm Ravens, I've exploded Land Raiders with him. He's nasty, and that missing that one turn of shooting really does hurt. Because they've got so many points wrapped up in something they can't shoot you till you're 12 inches away. So I think I like the night vision. They both help me go first. Baron adds +1 to your roll. Vect lets you steal on a 4-up, which honestly to me is even more attractive because I can let the enemy deploy first and then have a 50-50 shot at stealing the initiative, so I can deploy counter to them and then still go first, which is absolute best case scenario. I believe they both have Shadow Fields, which is somehow even better than putting Magan Ra in the front of my army. Believe me. Oh yeah, the other big thing with the Baron is that he's got hit and run and stealth. So my Wraithguard in an open field are going to have 4-up cover with rerolls from Fortune. And if I actually do get locked in a unit that's nasty enough to do some serious damage to the Wraithguard, I can just hit and run out of there and then blast into pieces with Wraith cannons. It's amazing. The other option with this Asdrubial Vect, he's basically freeing up Eldrad to do more nasty, amazing things. Because he has preferred enemy. And nowadays, preferred enemy, reroll all of your hits and shooting and combat and wounds, hits and wounds of a roll of 1. Now, with Wraithguard, that's half my misses to hit, and that's all of my misses to wound. Wraithguard wound on a 2 regardless of toughness. So I'm literally getting to reroll every failed wound. That's like Doom, and that's half a guide. But it also works in combat, which is where that unit's kind of lacking. On top of that, with Magan Ra, he hits on 2s. He's BS7, so he hits on 2s. If he fails with a 1, on a 5, he still makes it. But now it's basically just twin linked. You get to reroll every miss to hit. And against a normal toughness target like a Space Marine, Magan Ra is rerolling all of his misses to wound because he strength 6, so he wounds on 2. So every miss to hit and every miss to wound, he gets to reroll just because Vect is in that unit. So that really saves me. That saves me from wasting some guide on that squad, so I can guide like a squad of Warwalkers, which really increases how good they are. Or I can spend an extra power mind warring or dooming somebody for a different unit. So I feel like they open up a lot more opportunity. The problem is, do I feel like they add enough that it's worth making that a 900 point unit or a 1000 point unit versus just an 800 point unit? And I don't know, but I'm interested to see how they do. Last but not least, I want to run an Elysian spam demo charge list. like 2 infantry platoons with 3 special weapon squads each, with 3 demo charges in each squad. That's 18 demo charges right there. Then some vets with the demo charge and all the plasma guns and all that stuff. 2 squads of vets. Marbo, obviously. You can easily get over 20 demo charges. Bring them all in turn 2 with your reroll reserves from your like sensor tower from your defense line. Surround the enemy and just nuke them. I would love to see what 20 demo charges in one turn would do to the average army. Even if you I have no delusions again that you would win a tournament with this, but I think you can kick the shit out of some armies that would have ended up on top table. Like if you played against a paladin list and they weren't paying attention, they're walking at you, shooting your units behind the defense line, and then all of a sudden your rest of your army comes in one turn and throws 20 demo charges, strength 8, AP 2 onto them. You could potentially table them in one turn. It's disgusting. I'm really excited to see how something like that would do, especially against some more tough, weird armies that don't have as many obvious weaknesses typically. So that's pretty much it. Wow, that has been an hour. Thank you for sitting through an hour. It was ridiculous. Sorry it's so long and so drawn out. Hopefully, like I said, every episode will be a little bit shorter till I get it down to about 30-35 minutes, so I make them more often. But thank you for listening. I hope you guys had a good time. Again, let me know what you're working on. I know most people listen to podcasts. Like I listen to podcasts while I'm painting and building my models, or I watch a movie or something like that. So what are you guys working on? And what do you want to hear more about? What do you want to hear less about? Do you not give a shit about the games I play? That's great. Let me know. Do you want to hear more about rumors so you don't have to spend your own time reading all of the intricacies of the rumors? Let me know. I will see you guys later. Since we all survived the apocalypse, I'm assuming we'll be here for a while. So stay tuned. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Peace out.